What's going on, guys? I'm Tim Kelly. He's Anthony SanFilippo. This is Phillies Stoplight.
And this very special Red October edition of Phillies Stoplight is brought to you by Wapner Newman, Philadelphia's personal injury attorneys.
I like Anthony's announcer voice, but it's kind of going to be more of a somber show here from the Phillies' perspective because, Anthony, this is a game that they had a 3-0 lead. You're at home. You have the crowd on your side. Again, it's a best-of-5 series. The Dodgers still have to win 2 more games, but in that best-of-5 series, a loss like this where you had a chance against the team that I think, if the Phillies aren't the best team, is the best team, you had a chance to step on their throats in Game 1 and you let it slide by.
You did, and you know what? If you look at, since they've expanded the playoffs, in the 12 division series that have occurred, the team that won Game 1 has won 11 of 12.
Yeah.
So that's not good news for the Phillies. That said, Christopher Sanchez pitched well. They got off to a good lead. They looked good early. They were working Ohtani as best they could. I mean, Ohtani's a hell of a pitcher, right? And they did that. The critical moment, Tim, comes in the 7th inning. So Christopher Sanchez goes 5 2/3, can't quite get through the 6th. They go to David Robertson. He gets the last out of the 6th inning on a little comebacker back to the mound. And then the 7th inning rolls around, and they're at the bottom of the Dodgers' order. 2 right-handed hitters, and then back to Ohtani. And he brought Robertson back out. Now, he only threw 4 pitches in the bottom of the 6th. It was at the top of the 6th, it was a very quick bottom of the 6th for the Phillies, so he wasn't sitting for very long. Tell us what Rob Thompson said.
Well, and Rob Thompson said after the game, whether you agree with this explanation or not, there was reasoning behind it. Because David Robertson had already faced a batter, if he comes back out, he only has to face 2 more batters. So you face the 2 righties, it's the 2 righties,
yeah.
And then you would get to Shohei Ohtani, at which point you bring in the left-handed pitcher. It just didn't work out the way that they
right,
hoped.
and I guess the argument you could say, well, why not just bring in Strahm to start the inning? I think that they're looking at, who are you then bringing in if Strahm gets in trouble once you get to Freddie Freeman, who's another lefty. Yes, I guess you go to Ranger Suarez, who's out in the bullpen at that point. So, I mean, there are arguments that can be made both directions. Obviously, this is what everybody's talking about. Robertson hits one batter, just misses on a 2-2 pitch that's just below the strike zone, makes a full count, and then gives up a single right just past the diving Trey Turner. He comes out. Strahm does his job with Ohtani, right?
Yeah.
Strikes him out. Then he gets Mookie Betts to pop out, right?
Yeah.
And so then it's Teoscar Hernandez who comes up, and you looked at me at this point and you said, I'm worried about this guy. And I said, well, yeah, it's boom or bust, right? You're either going to strike him out or the guy's going to hit a home run. And the second pitch he saw puts it out of the ballpark.
Because we watched him hit that exact same home run twice in a game in April. Christopher Sanchez was pitching for that matter. This one didn't come off of Sanchez, but if there was a guy coming up in that lineup, as good as the lineup is with Hall of Fame level players, Teoscar Hernandez is not that, but he was someone that concerned me with that matchup, and ultimately Matt Strahm left a pitch that was not where he wanted it to be, not close to where he wanted it to be, and Teoscar Hernandez didn't miss it, and the carried out, I think, further than a lot of people initially anticipated off the bat, but it's brutal, and I would have gone Strahm to start that inning, I think. That's also not revisionist history. I did say,
yes.
Wow, I'm surprised they're bringing David Robertson back out. I thought he got a high leverage out. He had been a little spotty at times in September. I think I would have just taken that victory, brought Strahm out for the 7th, and assuming you still have the lead after the 7th, then I'm either going to Joan Duran for 2 innings, which I would not have hesitated to do, or I'm bringing Ranger Suarez in. And Rob Thompson said after the game that really wasn't a consideration in those 6 to 8 innings. And I asked Rob Thompson before the game, if you bring on Ranger Suarez out of the bullpen tonight, what kind of role do you see him in? And he said an earlier role or extra innings. And I just really disagree with that usage of him. If that's your usage of him, then I think he should have been starting Game 2, which we'll get to in a second. But if you're not going to bring him into a leverage situation, to me, it's not worth having him out there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that concerned with bringing a right-handed pitcher into the game, then why do you have right-handed pitchers on the roster to begin with, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, the Phillies are likely going to try and get through this entire series with mostly left-handed pitching. I know, Robertson and Kerkering did come into this game. Kerkering actually
looked good. Duran looked good.
Yeah,
looked like a guy that could have gone 2 innings.
Yeah, for sure. But they're really concerned about the top of the Dodgers order, and they want to go with lefties there. and it just didn't work out tonight. And now they got to reconsider this as they go ahead into Game 2 on Monday, which is obviously a must-win game that Luzardo's going to start. But adding injury to insult, Harrison Bader leaves the game. Turns out they originally called it a pulled hamstring. Turns out it's a groin. He said he got hit by a pitch. It had nothing to do with that, but he was on first base. Bryson Stott gets a single, and he said he felt it tighten up on him as he was running between first and second. Didn't want to risk it being something worse, so had a conversation with Rob, and they decided to take him out of the game. He's going to get some imaging done tomorrow, Sunday.
And let me just say, that was it for Rob's answer. He cut it off right. He's going to get some imaging, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Harrison Bader had a different answer post-game.
Oh, absolutely. And you can tell everybody about it. Like, Bader's a guy who wants to play regardless. And so I think, depending on what the imaging shows, because obviously if there's a tear there, it's a different story. But I think if it's just minimal, Harrison Bader's going to try and be in the lineup.
And the problem is you're in center field. Like, it's not a position. Like, Freddie Freeman could kind of hide at first base last year when he could barely move. You can't do that in center field. You can't do it running the bases when you're a speedier guy like Harrison Bader is. So, but he gave a pretty impassioned answer post game. More or less, you're gonna have to rip the jersey off my back at this time of the year to keep me out. That's great. I do wonder, like, when adrenaline wears off and you're thinking about being a free agent in the off season and things of that nature, like, I do wonder whether that calculation changes at all tomorrow. The thing is that who are the Phillies putting out there? Brandon Marsh, you can put out in center field, but I mean, realistically, pre this injury, Brandon Marsh was not going to be in the lineup Game 2 against Blake Snell.
Right.
You can put Max Kepler in center field, but you have the same issue, and really, Kepler would be an emergency center fielder like he was tonight. And by all accounts, Johan Rojas is not available. This is not a situation where the Phillies just decided he wasn't worthy of being on their initial roster. He wasn't healthy enough to even be considered. So unless there's been a miraculous recovery in the last 3 or 4 days, they're just kind of stuck with what they have or in terms of center field options. Like, and maybe Kemp factors in more and Wilson factors in more in left field, but center field, nobody's walking through that door.
No, certainly not against Blake Snell on Monday. That's the one that you got to really worry about more than anything else. I mean, obviously you can get creative against a right-handed pitcher. So like in Game 3 when it's Yamamoto, maybe you think about, do we play Bader in left and Marsh in center so he doesn't have to run around as much? Kind of save it a little bit. Like you could think about creative ideas like that. But against Blake Snell, you're either going to play a lefty who can't hit lefties. I mean, they pinch hit for Brandon Marsh in the biggest spot in the game
that
today.
100% was the right decision.
It was certainly the right
some
decision.
People, and Mundo Sosa put a decent swing on it. He got hit it pretty far, just not far enough ultimately.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. So, like, if you were willing to pinch hit for Brandon Marsh in the most crucial at-bat of the game, you're not starting him against a left-handed pitcher. I mean, unless you're forced to, right?
Which it appears that they may be on Monday.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, against a righty, I mean, I guess Harrison Bader may just play through in that stop. But if that doesn't happen, against a righty in Game 3, if you have Marsh in center, are you more hesitant to even have Kepler in the game because you know you can't have either one of them get hurt? You're SOL already.
Maybe you start Nick Castellanos in that case. Right?
Yeah, so that's just something that came to mind. I think the thing that really stands out from this game to me is that Shohei Ohtani was terrible at the plate. 0 for 4. He did have a walk in the 9th, which was kind of meaningless. 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. You kept him in control. Pitching-wise, it was pretty gutsy. Ended up going 6 innings, but you had him on the ropes. He gave up 3 runs. Like, you would have signed up for him having that out. If you said before the game he goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts and he has a 4.50 ERA in the game, you win the game.
Yes, 1,000% yes.
You have to win the game.
Yes.
Game 1 at home with that. It's one thing in a best-of-7 series. In a best-of-5 series, to lose that game, I think that burns. And it's not to say a team with any mental fortitude that's capable of winning a championship has to come back from things like this to be able to win. So it's not to say pack it up for the season, but in a best-of-5 series against the defending World Series champions, odds are if you lose a game like that, the series isn't going to go your way.
One of the things that we haven't talked about, Tim, in this game, there's the 3 big guys at the top of the order: Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, I believe
not
they were
good.
1 for 11
Yeah.
with a walk, if I'm not mistaken, is what it was.
Harper had a single.
Harper had the one single. Turner had the walk. Schwarber was 0 for
6 strikeouts.
Yeah, and they struck out 6 times.
So that's really what's standing. Bryce Harper, and you covered the game in LA, looked lost in that game. Against Shohei Ohtani, he has no timing against him. Trey Turner's coming back off. He's played one game in a month, essentially. Kyle Schwarber just didn't have a good night. I mean, I don't want to get too carried away because as Phillies, particularly Schwarber and Harper, their numbers are astronomical. They're off the charts. So I don't want to get carried away with hot takes after one game. But if those three in this series don't produce,
right,
you don't win. And that's what it comes down to this time of the season. It's great when JT Realmuto comes through with a huge hit that, I mean, how big... Teoscar Hernandez just got completely bailed out by hitting the home run because that play in right field between him and Paez that played an RBI double into a 2-run triple by Realmuto, that was a disaster, and it's forgotten now. But you get that moment, you get such a break against them, and you don't capitalize on it.
Yeah, Tim, it's not a hot take to talk about it in a shortened series like this, right? Everything's going to be magnified, and these are the guys who are making the most money for your team. They're the guys who are considered your big bats. It's why they're batting 1, 2, 3. They're the guys that are going to have to produce. Credit to the bottom of the lineup. They got on base a little bit. They had, they leave bases loaded at one point. They had 2 runners on in another inning. They had opportunities, and the top of the order just didn't contribute. And that's one game. Yes, they can be lights out on Monday night, and that would be great for the Phillies, right? But when you're looking at a 5-game series, and it's 1/5 of it. It's the equivalent of 20% of the season, right? I mean that's a lot when you're narrowing the focus down to one playoff series.
Yeah, and I mean now they go to game 2, and I have no reason to think they're changing course. Jesus Luzardo's going to go game 2, and to his credit, he was a better pitcher the last 6 weeks or so of the season than Ranger Suarez was. I would have given Suarez the ball in game 2. The thing is, now that you've gone with Luzardo, do you have to double down and have Ranger Suarez available out of the bullpen in game 2?
That's a great question. I was going to bring it up to you as well, because my thought process is if you are that concerned, if you look at how they utilized the bullpen tonight, if you are that concerned to have lefties available out of the bullpen, and I know that they didn't use Meza, they didn't use Banks. I understand that Banks
didn't use Ranger. I mean, that's the one that I can't get over.
Banks
the logic.
did get hot at one point.
Yeah, he did. I can't get over the logic of having Ranger Suarez out there and not using him.
Yeah.
Because by not using him in game 2, you've now taken him out of the equation probably for starting game 5 if there is a game 5.
Right, and so I say this though, you're down 1-0. You absolutely have to win game 2.
Yeah.
So you have to do whatever it takes to win game 2, and you figure it out down the line. If that means Ranger Suarez has to pitch in game 2, he pitches in game 2. You have 3 guys who can start a game if need be.
Yeah.
And Aaron Nola, Walker Buehler, heaven forbid Taijuan Walker in the postseason. But you do have 3 guys who can start a game. If you need to go that route, you start one of them in game 3, even if they're on a short leash, and then you bullpen it after that. But if you need Ranger Suarez in game 2 in a relief appearance, if it's a tight game and you need that, you absolutely have to go to him and not worry about the fact that you were thinking of starting him in game 3.
But, and I agree that you have to do that. You've set yourself up, though, now. Even if you win that game 2, you've gone so all in on game 2 that it just feels like there's consequences, even if you win that game 2 around the corner in games 3 and 4. Because if Ranger Suarez has to come in and pitch 2 or 3 innings in game 2, does he start at all this series? Maybe game 5.
Maybe a game 5.
If you get there.
Yeah.
Rob Thompson said before the game today, and this is what caught my eye, because I initially thought he was going to say Suarez game 3, Luzardo game 2, that's that. He didn't. He said, I'm not going to name a game 3 starter until after game 2 on Monday because I want to see how things play out. And that's what really got the wheels in my head turning about, okay, is Suarez not only available in this game 1, but maybe game 2 out of the bullpen? And I guess he is available in game 2, and you kind of need him to be available. And I also asked him, what role do you envision Aaron Nola in this series? And it was kind of an open-ended answer, leaving open the possibility of game 3. And the more that I think about it, and we talk right now, I might put my money on Aaron Nola being the game 3 starter. And I'm torn when talking about Aaron Nola because I think he is one of the best pitchers this franchise has ever had, and I don't think that it's a lost cause at this point in his career. He could very well turn things around next year. it was a bad year.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it. And going in to Los Angeles with him in Game 3, I don't think you can have a great feeling of that. Even if you, assuming you win Game 2. If you don't win Game 2, it's probably a wrap regardless. But even if you win Game 2,
yeah, no, you're not wrong, Tim. But the thing of it is that when you're the Phillies and you're paying this guy the kind of money that you're paying him, and he's locked up for another 5 years after this, you got to lean on him a little bit somewhere at some point. Whether it's Game 3, Game 4, at some point, if it's they've advanced to the NLCS, somewhere in there, he's gonna have to pitch an important game and important innings for the Phillies if they're going to want to get to where they want to get to this year. It doesn't matter when and where it is. I think that you got to lean on him at some point. If you need him in Game 3, then it's in Game 3. And he might be a short leash, like I said. You got Buehler who can come in behind him. If it's piggyback the two of them, whatever the case might be. But you're going to have to go Aaron Nola at some point. It very well could be as soon as Game 3.
Yeah, and I thought that point would be in the NLCS. I am increasingly less inclined. First of all, you have to get to the NLCS, which you're in a hole now. But I just think you're going to need him at some point in the series. And he had an ERA over 6 this year. I don't even know what it ended up being.
6.01.
Okay. I almost said over 7, so that's good.
Yeah.
He got it down to 6, and the last outing was good. And I'll give him credit in that sim game the other day. He looked very good. So as did Jesus Luzardo. So again, I don't want this to be end of the season, like it's over, there's no chance they come back, but the odds are, I would say it's a 75% chance the Dodgers win this series now, and the Phillies head home after one round in the playoffs a second year, which would be a disaster. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I would think you would see some major changes if they do, but I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, only a little though.
But only a little bit. But yes, that could well be if you go out with a whimper here.
Yeah.
Look, if you lose this series in 5 games, and they're all good baseball games, and they're hard fought, it's a heavyweight knockdown, drag out, and you're losing 5 games to the Dodgers, you're probably not, heads are not going to roll, right? But if you get swept, for example, and it's not good, it's not pretty, well, then I think it's a different conversation.
Yeah, and it's a conversation for another time and another day, but it's just getting even further out of ourselves. Schwarber's a free agent, JT's a free agent. Like, if you're trying to bring those guys back, I don't think making sweeping changes would probably be the best strategy in trying to do that.
No.
That's my opinion on it. You can take a step back, but I don't really know who that helps. So a lot to think about, a lot to talk about, and it's just... we get mad during the regular season that people treat regular season baseball games like football games, but now come in the playoffs, it becomes much
totally
more
different. I think it's perfectly fine to look at postseason games like NFL games, all right? Because these are...
Especially in a best of 5.
Yes, especially now. There's could be 4 more games to go in the series, right? But you cannot lose two days from now. You cannot. Yeah, it's over if you lose 2 days from now. So you can look at these in the vacuum of one game at a time at this point. Phillies coughed up an opportunity here in Game 1. They're going to have to make it up somehow over the course of the next 4 games.
All right, guys. Well, first of all, for the record, I tried to get Anthony to wear a suit. He didn't go along with me there.
What's wrong with what I'm wearing?
I said
I'm comfortable.
I said we could match.
I'm at a baseball game.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable?
No,
there we go.
In the middle of a post-game scrum with like 100 people, I was
all
sweating
sweaty,
my ass off.
Right?
But
I have a roll of deodorant back in the bag.
It's not that bad. But,
okay, all right.
Won't be wearing a suit for Game 2.
There you go.
Wear a suit if they make it to Game 1 of the World Series. That's the next time we'll wear a suit. But obviously they have a lot of work at this juncture to get there. That's going to do it for this episode of Phillies Stoplight. I'm Tim. He's Anthony. Check out all of our coverage on Pattison.com. Shout out to our sponsor of this episode, Wapner Newman. And we will see you guys next time.